evening and welcome to Up South. Our big focus this evening on Up South is on the city of Bengaluru, which along with Hyderabad and Bhopal is known as the city of lakes. But the images that we are going to show you this evening on Up South will show you that the city of Bengaluru is sending out a desperate SOS that its lakes need to be saved. Our phone lines are going to be open and please call in with your comments and suggestions on what we can do to save the lakes of Bengaluru. That's just one of the images from the city of Bengaluru, the Varthur lake, which seems to be literally foaming at the mouth. And it is not snow, but filth, untreated sewage, which is actually being let out into the Varthur lake, which has now been reduced to a dead lake. And that's really a very sad image that is coming from the city of Bengaluru. This is the Varthur lake in Bengaluru, which has always been like this. But this year, the quantity of foam seems to be more than any other year. This is basically the sewage and the polluted water that is not treated before it is let out into the Varthur lake. Okay, our phone lines are now open and you can call in with your comments and suggestions on what can be done to save Bengaluru's lakes. Our first caller is Mr. Babu Rao. Please go ahead, sir.
Good evening, sir, and thank you for providing this opportunity. I have been a resident of Bangalore for the last 63 years, and for 3 generations we have been living here. It is very sad that Bangalore has come to what it is today, and I think the deterioration started about 20 years back with the IT revolution, with burgeoning space, and what was city of paradise with 5 lakh population has crossed 1.2. And there is no governance. Unfortunately, there is absolutely no governance at all in Bangalore. And unless some of these are handed over to NGOs, like-minded people movement starts, Bangalore will not be on a recovery path. It will deteriorate further.
Absolutely. Very strong points there made by Mr. Babu Rao. Joining me also is Deputy Editor Headlines Today, Rohini Swami, who is joining me from the Varthur Lake in Bengaluru. Rohini, this really shows how little the governments care for civic amenities. Now, this Varthur Lake has been like this for many years, but this summer it really seems to be much worse. Right, I think we will just connect to Rohini Swami in a bit. In fact, she will be joining us live from the Varthur Lake in Bengaluru, which has really been at the center of attention. There, the images that we are showing you on our screen are from Varthur Lake. This is not snow, but absolute filth, which is being let out into the lake. And most residents in and around Varthur Lake talk of it as a dead lake now. And that is really becoming the problem because it stinks while you drive around Varthur Lake. And this is also the state of many lakes in and around Bengaluru, which have really been treated badly by civic authorities there, not really using them to actually rejuvenate the groundwater. Rohini Swami is with us live from Varthur Lake. Rohini, explain to us what really is happening and what are the civic authorities telling you?
Well, as of now, if I can show you what is happening, right behind me, what you see are is this foam, these bubbles, and these been bubbling up because of the detergent, this kind of chemicals that have been flowing out from various places from here. But let me also get in people who have been working on the field, on the ground. Abhikam, if I can ask you, the reason behind this foaming, what exactly is the source of this?
The source of this is urine, fecal matter, and of course soap suds. But it is hugely just totally polluted lake with nothing living in there at all. No fish, which normally lakes should have, and no other living thing, organism except the water.
So this is a regular feature here?
This is absolutely regular feature. It's been going on for years and progressively getting worse.
You're a part of Whitefield Rising, which is a group of people's voices put together just to fight various causes, and this is one of them. Treatment of has the councillors or any of these of the government agencies come to you and talked about taking care of this?
No, nobody has. This lake is supposed to be looked after by BDA. We have approached all the, as Senthil would, Meha will say, all the Bs possible, you know, BBMP, EWSSB, BDA, but everybody throws up their hands and says, oh, they say, yes, but it's such a large lake. Correct. How are we going to do? But we have to make a start somewhere.
Hold that thought, ma'am. Make a start somewhere, and that's what
Right,
we're doing.
Rohini, we have a caller at this point in time, Professor Jayarajan, who is joining us from Bengaluru. Professor Jayarajan, what's the comment that you want to make? Okay, our next caller is Shubha, who is also joining us from Bengaluru. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, my name is Sudha. I'm calling from Bangalore.
Yes.
Yeah. This is regarding the.
Please go ahead.
On a different matter, I just want to speak because Bangalore, not only the lakes, even the garbage situation is pretty bad here. In fact, there are so many rats all around the place. I'm sure there'll be some epidemic regarding this problem sooner or later. I'm sure that I don't know. We have taken up this matter with everyone.
Right, ma'am. This evening we are focusing specially on the state of the lakes in Bengaluru. Rohini, now we heard your guest talking about what is exactly wrong. Now, what have successive governments done about it? Because this is not the first time this is a state of this lake here in Bengaluru.
Well, time and again, what the government agencies have been saying is they've been passing the buck. They've been saying the BDA is responsible or the water board is responsible, but nobody seems to have seen to the basic fact that this lake is also where potable water, bore wells around this lake are getting contaminated, and because of the chemical fumes, the air is getting contaminated. People face a health hazard. Let me also bring in more voices. Ma'am, if I can ask you, you've been staying here. Children, everybody here, drinking water is affected, the air is affected. How long have you been here, and this is the IT hub, the silicon hub of the country, and this is the state it is in.
So I've been living here for a couple of years, and the groundwater for the area, so most residents in any part of Bangalore get their water from tankers. Tankers get their water from bore wells. The bore wells are most prolific around Lake Varthur. We have found that the groundwater, not only is the lake polluted, the groundwater is also polluted. The lake is clearly polluted. It's not even a living organism anymore. But the groundwater is also polluted. It was very surprising to scientists from IISc to find that the groundwater has E. coli. You live anywhere in this area and you get tanker water, you are at
a very important point. The groundwater has E. coli. We're talking about contamination to the point where it's entering the system. People do not know what they're facing. They're facing problems in terms of breathing issues, skin problems, and the basic issues, the basic amenities of food and water are getting contaminated, and that's what they're raising.
Right, very important points there that the groundwater is contaminated, is obviously entering the food cycle. Raghunath, who is joining us from Bengaluru. Sir, please go ahead.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Mr. Raghunath, please go ahead.
Mr. Sudhir, this is Raghunath here from Bangalore. Once the city of Bangalore was a place of greenery, lakes surrounded by the pleasant atmosphere, and today the city has become a garbage city. Okay, it is not only the Varthur lake, you can see the lake at Pinya, where the garbage of building materials is dumped, and you can see the sewage water during the night time left to the Alsur lake. Even the closing of lakes for the sake of land by the land mafias, with the it is unfortunate that it is quite unfortunate that the elected representatives, maybe the corporators, maybe the MLAs, maybe the MPs have done very little.
Right, Mr. Raghunath. So you're making the point that a lot of encroachments are taking place. We have seen that in many lakes, not just in Varthur Lake. Our next caller is Sushma, who is also calling in from Bengaluru. Ma'am, please go ahead.
Yes, this is really disgusting to see this, and it's year after year. I've been living in Bengaluru, and Bengaluru Lake is very close to my house, and we see the same thing happening even in Bengaluru Lake for years. For almost 15 years, and no matter what, the authorities do nothing, and the companies and people just
Right.
continue. And this
So you're
corruption
making the
has to
point
end.
that this is happening at
Corruption
different
has to
lakes
end.
in the city, and it's not just about Varthur Lake in Bengaluru. Rohini, if I may come back to you now, I do remember that a lot of civic organizations had also adopted some lakes, and some of them had actually done some good work with it. Is that happening, and is that kind of an attempt which is now going to be made looking at some of these visuals? Now anyone could actually adopt this dead lake and revive Varthur Lake. That would be doing a huge service to Bengaluru.
Well, that's what people's voices are. They're expecting also. What they're saying is find the basic problem, and there'll be enough and more corporates or enough and more people who will take responsibility to clean up the lake. People will take up the responsibility to see that it is taken care of. And also, it's not only like you were saying, there are various organizations. Support is coming not just from one, but from all across. People are coming in to say they support the fact that lakes in Bangalore are taken care of. You also walked in. Whitefield Rising is one group, but you walked in support of the lakes and cleaning it up. But do you feel that corporates also should take up or more responsibility, or individuals should take up more responsibility so that this kind of situation is not seen again?
Oh, well, that's actually pretty hard to answer. In fact, people have to come together at this point, because this is a site that we get to see every day. Because people, whoever are staying here, they move past around this area, and this is a site we see every day, 365 days a year. Corporates nearby can take, come together and take some action. But then we have to have government authorities also get involved in this and take action from their end as well. Because a lot of
Rohini, I will have to interrupt you. We have Mr. Leo Saldana, environmental activist, on the phone line. Mr. Saldana, thanks a lot for joining us on Up South. Now, no one knows the state of Bengaluru's lakes better than you. Now, the images that we are seeing right now on headlines today, extremely shocking. What do you think is really going wrong as far as the maintenance of these lakes is concerned?
I think one thing that we have to understand is the problem is not with the lakes, it's with the quality of the water. Water coming out of apartments,
Right.
out of hotels, out of corporate houses, which line the lake series, not just Varthur. It starts with Madiwala, it goes to Agara, then it comes to Bengaluru, and then after that to Varthur. All these 4 lakes are surrounded by high-end apartments, corporate houses, the IT sector, and this is the informed public. The informed public has not shown its concern in terms of the water it throws out. It's full of detergents, it's full of chemicals, and at some point, sorting takes place and it can even cause a traffic jam. In fact, I was passing by that area on Sunday and I said, wow, this is the amount of waste people are throwing out. And it just so happens that some people get affected more than the others. So I think instead of just thinking about it as a lakes problem, you should think about it as an effluent discharge and ask the question, how is it that apartments are allowed to live in a very high-end style when they don't have effluent treatment plants that work all the time? Most apartments I know...
So, Mr. Saldana, you are making the point that civic apathy is as much to blame as perhaps the government authorities, because everyone around in Bengaluru is actually contributing to killing the different lakes in the city.
I wouldn't only say that it is the private neighborhoods, it is also public agencies like the Bangalore Development Authority.
Right.
Plants neighborhoods without effluent treatment plants. Now it's common sense.
Right. Mr. Saldana, thanks a lot for joining us on Up South with your valuable comments. Also thanks to Rohini Swami and all her guests joining from Varthur Lake. Mysore Medical College has issued guidelines to its students not to wear jeans, sleeveless tops or canvas shoes on campus. They say the idea is to discipline the students on grooming.
Dress code implementation is right because we are doctors, we form a creamy part of the society. Being the doctors, and we have to set an example, we see hundreds of patients every day. They see us in a place where we are just next to God. So dressing in a way that we attract them is not right. We have to be well disciplined and well dressed in order to be respected. We are in a place where we should command respect and where we shouldn't demand it. And people will respect us only when we are disciplined enough.
So it's because of, as I told earlier, it's a Vaidya Narayano Bhava. So because of that, so each doctor should be disciplined. So then only patient will give respect to the doctors. So this should be followed in each colleges and each professionals. So that is what our institution, intention, everything.
Joining me now for a perspective is Pramila Nesargi, advocate and social activist. Ms. Nisargi, you heard the voices there from Mysuru Medical College. Now, a college banning jeans and canvas shoes and sleeveless tops. We also had a case of a Madurai school actually asking the women teachers to dress less, prescribing a dress code for the women teachers. Now, this all seems very strange in today's day and age. What do you say?
I agree with you. That these are not days when people can be restricted. The fundamental right to have your own dress code is a must, undoubtedly, in a schools and all that. But in a college, after they attain the majority, it is their discretion to have their own dress. You can't restrict and say you wear this dress and that dress only. It is for them to decide what dress they must wear. So long as they clothe themselves and so long they are decent enough, nothing prevents. It is a dignified dress that is meant, and it is not a colourful dress or the uniform that is going to be prescribed by the school or the college.
Ma'am, every time an incident of rape or molestation happens, people point to the attire of the woman, saying that perhaps that could have been the reason. Now, this kind of a dress code only reaffirms that line of argument, doesn't it?
That is a wrong notion. Especially in the college, when the teacher is asked to have a uniform, I somehow feel it is presentation is a must. You must be presentable to the students. They must be in a position to concentrate on the subject. If you say that you want to have a monotonous dress, they will not have any interest. They must have a look at the teacher, they must look at her, and they must have the presentation of the mind to understand it. That is where I think you fixing a uniform either to the teacher or to the student is not expected in this 21st century. That too after our constitution, which has come into force to have our fundamental right to have our own attire.
Right, Ms. Pramila Nisargi, thanks a lot for joining us there from Bengaluru with your perspective. And finally, we leave you with this spectacular shots from Thrissur Puram. It's that day of the year when the temple festival is held in Thrissur with all the music, the fireworks, and of course, despite the controversy of the elephants, they were there with all the visual spectacle. Thanks for watching. Enjoy these shots.